Hello everybody and welcome back to Car Mechanic Simulator on Xbox. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and, I've done some grinding since the last time you guys saw us. Now the first two episodes of this surprisingly have done pretty well. So I figure, why not do some grinding off camera and then come back and really hit some of the fun stuff. What do you think? So as you can see, the shop has gotten a little bigger. We still don't have the paint booth yet, unfortunately, but we do have an extra lift now. And the shop is getting quite a bit bigger. Now, I have $130,000 in my bank right now. I've done a lot of work. Now, one thing that I want to do, if we go in here, we should be able to, maybe it's this? Exit to parking. Okay, so I have a few things out here for us to work on. So, yeah, let's go to the cars parked. We have a Chieftain, which is a V8 car, or, yeah, 2-carb overhead valve. We have the Bolt Roulette. We have another Chieftain. And we have a Salem Spectre Fastback. Now, I'm going to go ahead and bring out the Salem Spectre for this first rebuild. We're going to do a full restoration on this thing, at least as best I can. I don't have the paint booth, so I'm not going to be able to paint it. But yeah, I think this thing is in need of some good old TLC. What do you guys think? And we're going to go full through it. Like, I'm going to change everything I can, get this thing as good as I can possibly get it with my current thing. So, hopefully you guys are ready. It's going to be a doozy of an episode. Go get you a snack. But yeah, it's going to be a good one, hopefully. But yeah, as you guys can see, there's quite a bit that we're going to be working on here. We're going to pull the rear bumpers, pull the tail lights, all the things. Now, obviously, there is going to be some things that are going to leave us a bit to be desired. Let's go interior disassemble mode. Get rid of this steering wheel. Actually, reassemble. I thought that steering wheel was bad. Apparently, it's just like wood. So it's fine. We'll put that back in there. Okay, and then go back here. We'll pull the hood off, pull the fenders off. Pull the front bumper off. Headlights. Now, unfortunately, there are some things that I just cannot do. Which is a shame. Because I would like to just tear this thing completely apart, rebuild it completely from scratch, do all the things. But we're going to be tearing everything out of this thing. We're going to tear the engine completely down and replace it. We're going to be tearing all of the suspension components out. Like, we are going whole 9 yards on this thing. So, it's going to be a doozy of an episode. But I think you guys will enjoy it. So, let me know what you guys think. Now, we got to unclip this. And then swing around to this side, do the same thing. There should be a clip over here. Get rid of our distributor, our rotor button, the actual distributor. And now get rid of the engine head cover, or what we call the valve cover. And now we got to take the rocker arms out. Yeah, there's a lot of detail here. Now, I know why they don't go into, like, full detail, because that would have been a lot, even more than this. But, and then you kind of lose some of the playability from people who maybe aren't mechanics. But, I'm not a mechanic by any stretch. Alright? I work on my own cars, so I know a lot of little things. I don't get into the engines and stuff on my own cars, because I'm not a professional, and I'd rather leave the expensive stuff to the people that get paid to do that. Because you want to really screw something up, go ahead and start digging into your engine. Now, bolt-ons and stuff, that's a completely different story. You can still screw stuff up, but it's a lot harder. Gotta pull all the push rods out. Tells you how old this car is. Of course, there are some modern pushrod engines. Talking about you, LS's. Okay, we gotta pull our spark plugs. Pull the head. But I do like this game as kind of a time waster, man. I know I've said it before at this point, but it is just a fun game to relax and tear stuff apart. Maybe I'm weird, but you guys seem to enjoy it too, so we're all weird. A couple of you even said you bought the game. Let me know what you guys think of it. I enjoy it. I will say this, there are a few things like this that get a little hard to do on a controller because the sensitivity is kind of high and the points of like reaction with the individual objects can be kind of small. But it's not too bad. You get a feel for it after a while. Pull the spark plugs. Pull the head. Alright. Now let's go ahead and pull the radiator. Get down into the nitty gritty. Pull the serpentine belt. Water pump pulley. Water pump itself. Fuel filter. Serpentine belt B. Power steering pump. Crank pulley. Alternator. Timing cover. Timing chain. Cam gear. Can't get to the crank yet, but we can pull the cam out. Now if we move out, anything I'm forgetting on the engine? Don't think so. I think the next thing would be the starter, which we have to get to underneath. So let's go ahead and raise the car up. And then we're going to pull all four wheels off of it. I really wanted to start doing the restoration stuff for you guys, because I think that's a little bit more fun than just repairing people's cars. We got a little story behind these, you know what I mean? We get to tear them completely down and rebuild them all the way back, as best we can anyway. So, alright, so we've got the tire, or the wheels and tires off. Let's go ahead and pull the exhaust off. Maybe. Mufflers, middle mufflers, grab the drive shaft out, move up to the gearbox area, pull the mid pipes out. And the transmission. Throw out bearing, pressure plate. Clutch plate, flywheel. Alright. So now, we need to go back to the engine. Now you can see there is no oil pan on this thing, so I definitely needed to tear this engine completely down and rebuild it, or just replace it altogether. And pull the rod caps off. Main bearings. More main bearings. Alright, so we've got that. We can go ahead and lower the car again. Should be able to pull the pistons out now. Pull the brake servo while we're up here in the battery. I don't know, we don't call them brake servos here. We call them brake boosters. And then of course attached to the brake booster you have the brake master cylinder. But to each their own. Alright, so now we should be able to pull the crank. And that'll allow us to pull the block out of the car. And then we'll start working on the suspension. Alright, so engine has been removed. Completely. Now, I always like to start at the rear and then work my way forward with the suspension, because there's a lot less going on in the rear than there is in the front. So, yeah, so with this first part, we're just going to go ahead and remove the brake shoes. Wheel cylinder, the drive axle. Wheel hub. Shock should be able to be pulled off. Okay, and then we got to pull these U-bolts off that hold the leaf spring to the axle. Take the spring plate off. And we should be able to unbolt the bushings that are holding the leaf spring in place. And then while we're at it, we might as well go ahead and remove... Now this is one thing that drives me nuts, is this old of a car has an electric fuel pump. I don't think so. Now, this old of a car would have had a mechanical fuel pump attached to the engine. But, yeah, it is what it is. The game takes some liberties here and there. Now we've already got this side done, so let's go ahead, go over here, do the same thing on this side. Remove the drum, remove the shoes, remove the wheel cylinder, then the axle, then the wheel hub, then the shock, then we can do the U-bolts, spring plate, front bushing, God, I hate when it does that. Like, most of the time the camera stays in a position where you can actually use it, but sometimes it just gets all wonky. Pull the spring. Alright, now we can pull the knuckles off. Should have done that while I was there. And now we can pull the entire rear drive axle. Alright, so that is the entire rear suspension done. Let's go ahead and pull the front suspension. Alright, so same thing. Start on the outside, work our way in. Hubcaps. The actual wheel hub itself. Oh wait, we gotta pull the bearing. Then the hubcap, or the wheel hub. Then the knuckle cover. Then we want to pull the tie rod. Then we want to go with the end link, sway bar end link. Hello. There we go. The upper wishbone, or control arm, whichever you call it. We can go ahead and pull the shock absorber. The lower control arm, or lower wishbone. And take the knuckle cover completely off. Pull the little rubber bushings. And while we're here, we might as well replace all of it, right? Okay, that's this side done. Now we come over to the passenger side, do the exact same thing all over again. Caliper, pad, oops, pads, discs, wheel hub cap, the bearing, oops. Pull the wheel hub out. The knuckle cover. The lower wishbone. Or no, we do the upper wishbone first. The upper wishbone. The shock absorber. Pull the sway bar in link. The tie rod. The actual sway bar can come out now. So can the steering rack. Then we can drop the lower control arm. Steering knuckle. The rubber bushings. And the crossway. Alright. Now here's the thing. Like, I wish I could actually get rid of all of this. Like, if I could go in here and completely disassemble the interior real quick, which I know I can. Like, if I go in here, I can pull the steering wheel, pull the front seat, front right seat, and the bench seat for the rear. Back into normal mode. Now this is just a shell. I should be able to just get rid of this shell and go buy a new shell, right? In theory. So let's see. What was this called, by the way? It is a Salem Spectre. So we want to go to the body shop and go Spectre. And this will bring up all of our thing. So, is there like a full body that I can buy of this thing? I don't think so. But we can buy all of the body panels and stuff, so we can get the front bumper, left door, left window, left fender, right door, right window, right fender, front window, the hood, left headlight, left side mirror, left tail light, rear bumper, rear window, right headlight, right side mirror, right tail light, trunk, and that's it. So now we have all the body parts that we need to put this thing back together. Now the next thing I'm going to end up having to do is let's go ahead and pull all the windows out, because I've got replacements for them. Okay. I wish there was a way that I could send this somewhere to be, like, reworked, sandblasted, something. And I'm sure you can probably do something like that, like, once you get the paint shop. But you don't get the paint shop until level 30. So, up until then, like, we're just gonna have to deal with what we got, right? So, let's go ahead and start putting our suspension. Now that we've got all the things removed, we're gonna go ahead and start redoing our suspension. And we're gonna start at the rear, and then work our way forward. So, easiest way to do this is to just come up under here, click on your suspension, and then you go to part mount, right? So, first thing is always the last thing that you removed, right? So, we're going to need a leaf spring rear drive axle. So, we go in here, we leave the body shop, go to parts, and then we want to go to suspension, and we want, we can search for leaf spring. Oops. So we have a leaf spring rear drive axle. We need one of those. Alright, so we can go ahead and put this in. Brand new axle. Okay, we're going to need rear axle knuckle housing Bs. We're going to need 2 of those. We're also going to need 4 of these, 2 of these, and 2 of these. Just because we know what we're doing. So, yeah, let's go ahead and search for parts. What'd I just say? Rear axle knuckle. So if we search for knuckle, you're going to get front and rear. So we just go knuckle. Rear axle knuckle housing B. So we need 2 of those. Put 1 here. And the other one over here. Alright. So now we're going to need the leaf spring itself. Then we're going to need some rubber bushings, small rubber bushings. So we need 4 small rubber bushings. Okay. Put those in there. And the goal is to get to the point where we have a paint shop and everything, and we are fully able to restore vehicles, or at least as best the game allows us to, and get to the point where we're doing like more expensive vehicles and stuff, because I think it'll be pretty cool. We are just starting out, so keep that in mind. Like, this is just very early gameplay. We're level 17 right now, and that's with a lot of grinding. So we need a wheel hub 4. So wheel hub 4, 2 of those. Same thing here. And then rear shock absorber B. Rear shock absorber B. 2 of these. We can put that there. That's what I'm talking about. The camera sometimes just gets all wonky. There we go. Alright, so next we need to put our leaf spring plate on. And then our U-bolts. Dang it. Lord help you if you misclick on something. Okay, there we go. Now we should be able to get solid rear drive axle. So again, we already searched for, wait, that was shock, so we need solid rear drive axles. We need 2 of those. Boom. Now we need 2 drum wheel cylinders, so if we go to brakes, we can pull them out real quick. So 2 of those. We're going to need 2 of these. And we're going to need 2 of these. And 2 of these. So booyah. Booyah. Good night. We'll wait for the thing. We also need a fuel tank. It's a good idea. Go ahead and take care of that while we're here. Grab a filter, because you know we're going to need one. Grab the fuel pump and fuel tank. Go ahead and pop the fuel tank in. Fuel pump. Alright. Let's go to this side. Do it all over again. Now some of this I've already jumped ahead on, but it's all good. Let's go ahead and pop the spring in here. And the little rubber bushings that hold the spring. I've always wanted to play these sorts of games. I've just never really done it because it's usually on like mobile. But this came out on Xbox. It's been a few years ago, and I've played it a little bit, but I haven't really jumped into it. And then I kind of got the itch to play it recently, and you guys seem to enjoy it, so I figure, why not? Can't hurt, right? Can't hurt. Okay, so we've already got the rear suspension. No. We got to put the plate on. And then the U-bolts. See? Jumping ahead of myself. Alright. So there's the rear suspension. Good to go. Next thing we're going to do is jump into the front suspension and get it back. First thing we're going to need is a cross member. Kind of hard to do anything without it. It is a front suspension cross member E. So, search for cross. The search function is like the best thing ever. That's all I'm saying. Like, if it wasn't for that search function, I would not be playing this. Like, it just takes so long to look for everything. Alright, so then we should need front steering knuckle C. So if we go back in and search for Knuck. Front steering knuckle C. Grab 2 of those. They're just going to float in space for now. Then we're going to need a bottom suspension arm. And an upper suspension arm. Okay. Let's go sus. Bottom suspension arm. Oop, we needed 2 of those. And upper suspension arm. 2 of those. Okay. Alright, now we need rubber bushings. We need 2 of them for each of these. So we need a total of 8 regular rubber bushings. Okay, so. And then I think we need 4 for the cross member itself, so let's go ahead and go with 12. Okay. That should hopefully be all of our bushing needs. So go ahead and throw that in there. Go ahead and grab this. Alright, so next we need a double wishbone shock absorber. So we need to go back to shock. So we need 2 of these. We're going to need the springs to go with them. front shock absorber caps, 2 of those. Spring, front spring, 2 of those. Alright, now this is the fun part. I actually have to go over here and put these together. So we want to join parts. There we go. And it's going to decompress. Or actually compress. There we go. Put the other one together. Alright, so that's our front shock absorbers done. Go back to putting stuff together. Let's put the shock absorber in. Okay, now sway bar is going to be next. We need just a front sway bar B. So let's search for sway. Front sway bar B, 1 of those. Okay, which end links do we need? We need end link B. 2 of those. Alright. The other thing we're going to go ahead and do is put in our bushings real quick. And then a steering rack. One of those, and then we're going to need inner, or no, let's just go tie. If we go tie, we should be able to see all of it. Alright, so we have 2 of these inners and 2 of the outers. So go ahead and put in our steering rack. Inner tie rod. Outer tie rod. Trying to think of what else. I think that's pretty much it for this side. We gotta go front axle cover. What was it? Front axle knuckle cover. So if we go back to knuckle. Front axle knuckle cover, we need 2 of those. Then we're going to need front wheel hubs. Oh, there's a lot of fronts. Alright, front wheel hubs times 2. Then we're going to need a hub bearing. Two of those. Alright, now we're going to need brake disc ventilated. So we'll go ahead and just grab all of the brake parts real quick. So we're going to need 2 front calipers. We're going to need 2 caliper cylinders. We're going to need 2 brake disc ventilated. We need 2 sets of brake pads. And I think that's it. Go ahead and pop that on there. Ah, wheel hub caps. Forgot about that. Darn rear wheel drive cars. So we gotta grab 2 of those. Alright. Not ready for tires yet. And we do the same thing over here. So the good news is we already have all of our parts. So what we got to do is slap them together real quick. Let's go ahead and get these bushings in while I'm thinking about it. Because otherwise I'll forget about them. And then we'll get to the end of the build, I'll be like, oh, you don't have this part. I'm like, dagnabbit, I gotta tear everything apart to get to that. So, bottom suspension arm. Top suspension arm. Shock absorber. Sway bar end link. Tie rods. Throw the hubcap in. Alright. Okay, that's our suspension all redone, folks. Next we need to go ahead and get an engine in this bad boy. What do you think? So, we need a V8 overhead valve engine block. So we're looking for engine block V8 OHV. That'll be the one. Throw that in there. All nice and shiny looking. Then we're going to need a crank. So lift her back up. We need a crankshaft for V8 overhead valve. Right there. Let's go ahead and get our main bearings as well. I think there are 3, but we'll go ahead and grab 4 just in case. I don't want to have to come back in here. So go ahead and throw the crank in. Go ahead and throw the main bearings on. I was correct, it is only 3. Good. I like being right occasionally. Comes in handy. Alright, so our crank is in. The next thing we're going to need is pistons, right? So let's go ahead and grab pistons. We're going to need 8 piston rings. 8 pistons and con rods. We are also going to need rod caps or rod bearings. So we need 8 of those. And it's usually about this point at which the game is like, you have too much in your inventory. You need to get rid of some stuff. But so far it's playing along. Put in our pistons. I like to build all the things that are like right up top first, and then go back down and finish everything. Because I like to work in like stages, so like I do everything on the bottom that I can, then I do everything on top that I can, and then I move back down to the bottom. Alright, so we're going to need engine head V8 OHV. Now, yeah, we need 2 of these. So let's look for a head. All right, so V8 OHV, right there. So we need 2 of these. All right, now we need 2 per cylinder, so we're gonna need 16 push rods. Yeah. Push it. Push it real good. Oh no. Which ones do we need? Just a valve push rod. Just straight up valve push rod. You can grab 10 there, and then grab another 6. Thank you. If you're wondering why you have to have 2, well, in this particular engine there are 2 valves per cylinder. So you have 2 push rods for each valves. The valves, you've got an intake valve and an exhaust valve. Most modern engines are 4 valves. Some are 5. I think they might even have 6 valves per cylinder on some vehicles, but those would be super high end, I would imagine. But most of your cars out there will be like 4 valves per cylinder. You'll have 2 intake, 2 exhaust. And they don't use push rods most of the time anymore. Most cars nowadays are dual overhead cam. So you have an intake cam and an exhaust cam on both sides of your engine if it's a V6 or V8. Or if you're an inline 4-cylinder or inline 6-cylinder, you'll just have 2 cams going straight over the middle that'll drive the valves for both sides, or yeah, both sets of valves. All right, so now we need rocker arms for V8 OHV. Right? Or is it just called rocker arm? Just called rockers. Good. Rockers. Alright, so we need... Oops. No free space in inventory. I called it! Dagnabbit. Alright. Well, let's throw some of these in there. See what I mean about how small some of the, like, hit boxes are on some of these parts? Can make them finicky. Alright. And, V8 head cover B, engine cover B. So we need, engine head cover B, V8. I'm assuming that means there's going to be an A as well. So we'll grab the A there. Engine head cover B, V8. Oh, there it is. Alright. Throw that in there. Now we can do the head on this side. push rods. Okay, so we're gonna need 6 more rocker arms. There we go. Let me know down in the comments who actually works on their own stuff. I'd be interested to see. So there's a lot of people out there that just take everything to the shop, and that's fine and dandy if you've got the money to do that. For those of us that don't have that kind of money, I just end up learning to do everything myself. With the exception of, like I said, the most important stuff. Transmissions, engines, I don't touch. I usually take that straight to the shop and let somebody that knows what they're doing actually fix it. Alright, so we need 8 spark plugs. So let's go ahead and grab spark plug. Go ahead and put those in. Getting down to the nitty-gritty now, guys. Almost done. Isn't it nice how everything works so well in this game rather than real life where everything tries to kill you one way or the other? If not by just direct trying to kill you, then by giving you a stroke or heart attack or an aneurysm. All the bad. Alright, there we go. Let's get our intake manifold. We're going to need an intake manifold for 2 carburetors. Intake manifold for 2 carbs. Now, do we get dual 4s? Yes, we do. So, dual 4-barrel carbs. So, let's go ahead and search for carb. And we want 4 barrels, 2 of them. Good old-fashioned 4-barrel carburetors, man. I hate carburetors. Hate them. Hate carburetors, man. Such a pain in the butt. I live in the cold, too, so, like, not only are they just a pain in the butt, but then in the wintertime, they don't want to start. Like, just not a whole lot of fun. Round air filter base for 2 carbs. Round air filter for 2 carbs. Round air filter base, 2 carbs. And round air filter cover, 2 carbs. There we go. Throw that on there. Throw the air filter on there. And then throw the cover on. Not a big fan of chrome myself, but, you know, I don't mind it. I don't mind it, especially on older cars, but, you know, I like flat black stuff or painted in general. But, alright, so that is the top end. I guess we should probably do the timing components next, right? So, we should get a cam. So, let's go ahead and work on cam. We need a camshaft for a V8 overhead valve. Camshaft, V8 Ohv, where you at? Right there you are, I see you. Slide the cam in. Now, I believe normally you would slide the cam in before you drop your push rods in. It's just a thought. Because if you don't have your cam in, those push rods ain't going to stop on anything. They're just going to slide all the way up. They'll fall out the bottom, if you're lucky. Otherwise, they might get stuck on your cons and your crank. And you have to use a magnet, stick it down in there, and pull each one of your push rods back out. If the magnet fits down in there. Alright, so now we need a cam gear for V8. Cam gear, V8 Ohv, where you at? Right there. Alright, now we need a timing chain. Timing chain, V8 Ohv. Where are you hiding? Oh, it's right there. Almost missed it. Alright. Now, before we do that, let's go ahead and get the ignition distributor. So, let's go ignition. And we'll grab that ignition distributor. And throw that in there real quick. And then you can kind of see how the ignition distributor runs off of the cam. There you go. You can see right there the little splines on the cam driving the distributor. And of course the distributor is what distributes spark to each of the cylinders, if you didn't know that. Anyway, part mount. Time to get us a rotor button. And rotor button. Okay. And then we need an ignition cap. Grab that and throw on there. Now we need the ignition wires for a V8. V8. Booyah. Alright. Next part we're going to need is to go ahead and throw the timing cover back on. We're going to get a new one, of course. So timing cover, V8 overhead valve. Where are you at? There you are. Okay, so we can slap that on there real quick. Then we can start putting all the other good stuff on there. We've got our crank pulley. I think I'll just go ahead and search for pulley. So crankshaft pulley, V8 Ohv. Then we're going to need a water pump for V8 Ohv. Water pump. There it is. Alright. Let's go ahead and throw our fuel filter in while we're thinking about it. We bought that earlier. Water pump pulley. We need an ignition coil. There we go. Of course, that's what your spark plugs would be or that's what your spark plug wires would plug into, so that they have some way of generating the spark. Okay, so what else? Alternator. Gotta do the alternator. And then power steering pump, I believe. And then we can put the belt on. Power steering pump for a V8. There we go. Alright, so then we need serpentine belt B and probably A. So serp. Okay, so we're looking for a serpentine belt A and B for V8 overhead valve. There's A. So now we need to go down to B. There we go. Throw that in. Throw that one on. Then we need our fan. So we need fan. There we go. Good old-fashioned, old-school fans. Kind that if you screw up, they'll chop your fingers off. Alright, we're going to need the radiator. Said radiator C. Alright. Now, the next thing that we need is going to be manifolds. So we need, yep, exhaust manifold. V8 overhead valve exhaust manifold. That'll do, donkey. Grab 2 of those. Also known as headers. Now we're gonna use a battery. Yep, gonna have to get a battery. Give me a bateria. One of those. and a brake servo, aka brake booster master cylinder. Alright. Next we gotta put the transmission in and start working on the exhaust. We're about done. So let's raise this bad boy up. Also gotta go ahead and put together the end caps on the pistons and all of that stuff. Put the oil pan on. We'll do that first so I don't forget. Look at here. First two pistons done. Second two pistons done. Third. And all of the pistons are done. We can throw the oil pan on. If we had an oil pan. Oil pan, overhead valve, V8. Okay, and that's that. Now let's go ahead and throw the flywheel on. Let's go ahead and grab all the things we need for that. So gearbox, we're going to need the clutch plate, we're going to need the pressure plate, we're going to need the throw-out bearing and a flywheel. Okay, and now gearbox for V8 Ohv. Gearbox. There we go. And drive shaft. Whoops. Alright, next we're going to need the front exhaust pipe C. Two of them. So front exhaust pipe C. Then we're going to need middle muffler, two of those. Okay, I'm missing something here. Oh, right there. I was like, I'm missing something. Alright. Then we're going to need the rear muffler for V8 Ohv. Two of those. Alrighty. Starter will be next, before I forget. It's one of the things that I always forget. So, yep, need a starter for a V8. And I think we are about ready, folks. Think we're about ready. That's all the mechanical stuff. Let's go ahead and put some oil in this bad boy before we forget. I'd hate to start this thing up and just ruin the engine immediately. Alright. Go ahead and check the oil. Pretty good at it. Yeah, look at that. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Alright, so we've got her oiled up. We're about to throw some panels back on this thing, throw the interior back in this thing. It is a real shame that I can't do anything with the body. Like, that's real annoying that it's going to be all rusty. Love to get that done. We also got to get tires and wheels sorted for this thing. So, yeah, let's go ahead and throw the body panels back on it. Interior first. Interior assemble. Let's throw the bench. Honestly, the interior was in, like, fantastic shape, so I'm not too worried about that. So we good there. Then we're going to go ahead and start assemble mode. Go ahead and throw the door on. Window. Fender. Hood. Front bumper. Left headlight. Right headlight. License plate before I forget. Right fender. Right door. I forgot the mirror on the other side. And put the rear window in. Rear trunk. Left taillight. Right taillight. Rear bumper. Tell you what, I honestly like the flat black. Like, I would straight up, like, if I was doing this car, I would have the body have been sandblasted first of all, primered, and then just spray flat black with a little bit of gloss over it. That's a good looking car to me, you know what I mean? And it just straight up, I love the lines of the old Mustang, which is what this is supposed to be. But, and I think they actually do have, like, the Shelby GT in here. But, I guess now we gotta look at wheels and tires, huh? So, yeah, let's go to our inventory and check out the wheels. What do we got as far as Rim Retro 11 with 215/65 15s. Okay. So, let's go order some rims for this bad boy. Retro 11. See if we can do it by looks. Right there. It should be 15s, right? Or is it 16s? 15s, okay. I was gonna say, it should be 15s, but just double checking. Okay, so Rim Retro 11, we're gonna need 4 of those, size 15s. Then we're gonna need tires. I'm thinking of what kind of tire we should use on this. Like, I'm thinking it's got to be a vintage tire, but do we really need race tire? I don't think so. So we'll probably just go with, like, straight, like, vintage tire. Do we do the white letters, or do we do, like, not white letters? That's always a big question. Honestly, I don't think that I want the white letters on this particular car. So let's go ahead and grab 4 of these. 15-inch, 255, 235. 215s, wow. Yeah, so 215, 65 15s. Okay. So vintage tire B, we're going to get 4 of those, size 15. 215, 65, and then we got to take them over to our tire changer here, assemble. Yeah, I think we went the right choice. I like the raised letters, but I don't want them painted for this one. Let's go ahead and start the balance process for that one. Should be about done. Yeah, the balance takes a little bit. Alright, so that's all my tires mounted. Now I just got to get them all balanced. We're almost ready to rank up too. We're at 10,400 almost, and we need 10,800 to get to 18. So we might rank up soon. There we go. That's the last one. And I guess we can go ahead and start mounting. Grab our last tire. Whoops. Slightly forgot where I was. All right. I think that this thing is ready to roll out. What do you think? Let's just double check, make sure there's nothing that's missing. Oh. Missing clip B's and oil filter. All for the distributor cap and then the oil filter, obviously. That was kind of dumb. Let's go ahead and raise her back up. So I filled it up with oil but didn't have an oil filter in it. Good thing we didn't start it, suck all that oil out, just spray it all over the ground. Big dummy. See, I'm telling you, every time there's something that I forget. Every time. So, yeah, we're going to need a V8 Ohv oil filter. So oil filter for V8 Ohv. Booyah. Put that in. Then we are going to go with, what was the other thing that I forgot? Oh, for the distributor, we need the 2 clips that go on there. clip B. Yeah, let's buy two new clips. Grab 2 of those. I hate the clips. They're the worst. There we go. Alright. Now, we should be good to go. Let's just double check one last time. Make sure we didn't miss anything. Again. Alright. Think we are good to go. Let's take this thing for a test drive, shall we? Let's go to, we don't need to go to the test track. Let's go to abandoned airport. Sounds fun.
They'll do unemployment.
I will.
I love you.
Alrighty. Let's start this bad boy. Alright. So, she doesn't sound too bad. I had to do a little bit of donuts with it. She's got no problem doing donuts. She's got plenty of torque. She does over 100 miles an hour, no problem. Let's go ahead and slow down, swing her around, and head back the other direction. See if we can't hit 110. Running out of room. Oh yeah, we were at 118 right there. Let's slow her down. All right. I think that's a success, folks. What do you think? I know it sucks that I can't redo the body, but other than that, I think we've done a pretty good job here. So, let's go ahead and end this. Return to garage. Before we crash it. And see what we can sell it for. Feel like it would be a pretty good amount of money. Needs some work. But for the majority of it, it's already done. I think it looks pretty good. Alright guys, let's see what we can sell it for. Alright, so the car value is $44,737, and we get a bonus of $3,355 on top of that. So I think it's time to sell it. I think it's time to sell it. We are going to be able to sell it for $48,092. Absolutely. And that brings our total up to $156,000. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed. Let me know down in the comments below what you guys thought of it. I've got several more cars already bought to try to restore. I've got some more cars out there that I could find to restore. So, yeah, definitely let me know what you guys think. And if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.